Greetings viewers, Eric the Car Guy, also known as ETCG1, when posting videos on this channel. Yep, I'm still doing it. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. The last 10% is what I'm calling this video. And that comes from, actually I've heard Steve Darnell, who's a builder out in Las Vegas, fell in love with his stuff before I even knew who he was. I mean, I went to SEMA, it was 2015 I think it was. Anyway, they had a bunch of his stuff that was outside. If you get the opportunity to check it out, his shop is called Welder up in Vegas. He makes rat rods. He's got an artistic flair that's not of the traditional, everything is so shiny and pretty. And as you can see, shiny and pretty isn't always in my nature, and I am just fine with that. I am function over form. But anyway, the last 10% is what he talks about. I subscribe to this wholeheartedly, especially at this point in my build. The big pieces are all in place. So in other words, the engine's been fitted, the transmission's been fitted, you know, I've got it swapped over, automatic to manual. In fact, I've got 3 pedals over there now, and you know, fuel system's installed. All the big pieces are in place. And the big pieces, yeah, they do require, you know, a certain amount of attention and a certain amount of work in order to make them happen. But it's these little things, and for the past couple weeks I've been into the wiring. Honestly, it looks more complicated than it is. It's really one wire at a time, but this is the whole point I'm trying to make in this video. It's this detail work. It's the stuff that makes all those big lumps work. That's the part that I'm talking about that is so tedious. So, you know, you might get all those big pieces in place and you think, I'm so close, I'm just about done. But then you start doing the wiring and then you start like plumbing the fuel system, or you start fitting the smaller little bits. And that's what eats up all the time, because custom car building to me is a lot like building a jigsaw puzzle with 5 different puzzles, and you have to custom fit every single piece when you put it together. That's the best way I can describe this work. Some of you have complained it's taken so long and everything. You know, I will admit it's taken way longer than I had initially anticipated. Had I just stuck with the regular engine and not said turbo, we would have been done a long time ago. But because I said turbo, I had to upgrade a whole lot of other stuff. And I'll be glad I did at the end of the day. But that's a bit off topic as far as the video is concerned. Doing repairs is so much different than custom car work. Repairs, it's like the last 10% seems like the easiest. It seems like the first 90% is all the BS, because you're dealing with all the rusty fasteners and you're getting it all apart. Then you go to put it back together, it's already been apart. You've already got that part covered. So it seems to go back together better than it came apart in that instance. Whereas this is completely different. Like I said, you get all the big stuff out of the way to start with, and then the work really seems to begin. And then you're settled into, you know, living in this area. I've just lived in this area pretty much all day, and building this fuse box and relays and brackets for relays, and you know, and that's the thing that eats up the time. I mean, just as an example, okay, so here's some relays that I'm putting together and into this fuse box, and this bracket that they fastened to, because there was no other place to put them. I had to put them somewhere, and then there's a trim piece that fits over the outside of this, and I wanted to make sure everything slipped behind the trim piece. And the best way to do that was to mount the relays down inside here, so recess them. So it took me extra time to make this piece of metal to go in here, to make that work. And that's what I'm talking about here. It's that little stuff. So if you're asking me why this is taking so long, why are you taking, you're milking this, you're trying to just, you know, milk the videos for money. No, I'm not. I'm so over this project. I so want it to be done. I'm so tired of working on this car. I want to be driving this car. I'm literally, you know, my eyes feel like they're bleeding. It's just, I am so over like having to come in here and work on this. But I'll admit, it's a love-hate thing. You know, I say that now that I'm just at that point. You know, I've been working all day, and I've been working, honestly, not just here, but just in general, nonstop for a really long time. And to be honest, I'm a little burned out. But that said, it's this little stuff that's taking so long. It's this little stuff making it all work. You know, the last thing I want is to hit the key or flip the switch and nothing happens, you know, after all this money spent, after all this time spent, after all this effort. I don't want to see that. So I guess I'm whining a little bit, but only a little bit, because, you know, as I've said in the past, I really get into this. I really like this, but I'm in the last 10% of the Fairmont. Now, as far as the videos, they're offset, but I've caught you up. You're in this year, so you're at about February, March as far as the build goes and the videos that are coming out. And I'm skipping over stuff. I mean, I've really, since Brian was out, I just went for more documentation of the stuff that I was doing and not focusing so much on detail. And as a result, it's helped things move along a little more quickly. So I'm trying to move you ahead, and I'm putting extended versions of the videos out on the website for premium members, for those that are interested, and shorter, more condensed versions on YouTube. Amongst all this car building stuff, I'm also producing video content, which anybody that does this know that it's a challenge on a whole other level. I mean, just building a custom car is one thing, but trying to document the entire thing on video and trying to remain somewhat entertaining, that's the real challenge. You know, it's the life I've chosen, and I'm not going to sit here and complain about it because, you know, I've got it pretty stinking good. I'm able to build this thing to begin with, and, you know, there was a time where I was like $36 away from the poverty line, and now I'm doing this. Just to bring you in the know and see what your experiences are as far as the last 10%. I mean, those of you that have built cars or worked on cars or things like that, I mean, do you agree? Do you concur with the experience that I'm having here? Or have you had something different? Was it really hard in the beginning, and did it get easy? You know, what was it like for you? And that will wrap this one up. I hope I'm not too laid back. As I said, it's been a long week, long day, long month, long year. But I'm soldiering on. I'm bound and determined to get this thing finished, because I want to get it on the road and I want to drive it just as much as you want to see it being driven. And I'd love to move on to other things. I really, really would. If you have automotive questions, I ask that you head to ericthecarguy.com. I'll link that down in the description, along with additional stuff that you might find interesting. So go to the description, check it out. Aside from that, I close my videos. Be safe, have fun, stay dirty. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.